It's Tuesday evening, and this is just 6 p.m. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad, London, in Bromley, and with me is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and where are you?
Well, I'm here in Brussels, and it's been bright but cold.
Bright but cold. Here also, I will say, I'm trying to remember, I've forgotten how it was. Yes, I would say also the same thing. I think it's the same. It was warmer than the day before, so Monday was a bit colder, I will say, but it was not a bit warmer today. So yes, welcome listeners. As I said, this is the Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. And we have a topic every week, new topic every week. The topic for tonight is Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. I'll say that again. The topic tonight is Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, it is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abdrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abdrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is be on your guard, the spirit of man, for your hour has come. I'll repeat that. Be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, it is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you are outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. So listeners, this topic tonight we have chosen, be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. This is actually a line, or the first line from a lecture in the Grail Message, which is titled A Necessary Word. So I won't say more on that point just now. So that's where this title has come from. And as we know, right now in UK, in Glasgow specifically, there's a climate change conference being held with the world leaders or the world countries gathered together, working to limit carbon emissions and, let's say, the effects of climate change for the future. And as I'm sure you're hearing in the news, how hard it is to get a common agreement. Every country is working in their own interest. And we also know the young generation are very keen, enthusiastic and idealistic about what they're looking for, the changes to happen in the future. Well, whilst the world leaders are a bit more slow and maybe even looking short term rather than the long term. So that's what's happening, you could say, in the world currently. And in a way, one is about saving the planet or humanity on this planet. And our topic is referring to the spirit of man and saying that our hour has come. So there's something, it sounds something similar. So we're going to explore that. Gregory, I have some text from the Bible which I would like to read, and I'm just reflecting if I should read that first, or we should just go straight into the questions first about the topic tonight. So I think I would like to go to a few questions first. So, let's see, who is that? I'm sorry, I think that's somebody calling, but it's not for the show, so apologies for that. What I'd like to say, Gregory, about the question tonight, first question for tonight, is just to repeat the topic, the title again, before I say that question. It says, the topic tonight is, be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. So there's one part of that, Gregory, it says spirit of man. I would like to ask you about that. What is the spirit of man, or what is man's spirit?
Actually, the spirit of man is the entity that uses the physical body to experience here on earth. That is what is referred to as the spirit of man.
So, okay. Yes, we need the body, as you say, to experience on earth. So, okay, so then if I ask about when it now in the topic we refer to, for your hour has come, it seems some sort of deadline that your hour has come. What is this deadline that your hour has come?
Some may interpret that expression as a deadline. Like we mentioned, the being, the entity that uses the physical body to experience on earth is what is referred to as the spirit of man. In experiencing on earth, that experiencing or that process does not go on forever here on earth. For the earth was created. The earth was formed. Because the earth was brought into being here in the world of matter, it has its own lifespan. Therefore, you have the coming into being of the earth prepared by those whose task it is to walk in the world of matter. And as a special grace, the earth was prepared such that the human personality, or the budding human personality, which is referred to as the human spirit or human spirit gem, needed to come to leave its origin in the spiritual realm in order gradually, through experiences here in the world of matter, and particularly here on earth, to mature. And there is a time limit. The constitution of the world of matter dictates a birth, a continuous growing until it gets to a point when what has been integrated falls back to its primeval substances, very similar to the birth and then death on the long run. At that point, those personalities, those human spirits who are in that vicinity, needed to have matured to a point in order to take their leave. That point is at hand.
Thank you for that, Gregory. It's very important to have a context to understand, what is happening. So, thank you for bringing that, in picture in front of us. Now, I think I want to go now, Gregory, and read something from the Bible in reference to what we're talking about tonight. So this might be quite a long reading, but I think it will be helpful. So this is from Matthew, chapter 24. I think I'll read the whole chapter there. So this is in the New Testament. and is titled Signs of the End of the Age. Signs of the End of the Age. This is Matthew chapter 24. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down." As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Christ, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, sorry, I've lost my place there. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations. And then the end will come. So when you are standing in the holy place, the abomination that causes desolation spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the roof of this house go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one go in the field go back to get his cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in the winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Christ, there he is," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and miracles to deceive even the elect, if that were possible. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, "There he is out in the desert," do not go out. Or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all the nations of the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender, its leaves come out. You know that the summer is near. Even so, when you will see all these things, you will know that it is near, right at the door. I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. I'm going to stop there, Gregory. It's quite a long piece that I've read there. That is Jesus talking about the end times. And okay, I think I've got a listener calling in, so just excuse me a second. Hello, listener?
Sir?
Yes?
Sorry, it's me, Eddie. I just wanted to make a very fast question, yeah? Okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Send the message to her about what she's asking who. Can I go ahead and tell her how I came across and who I am and stuff like that?
Actually, I'm on the radio, so I can't talk. Apologies, I thought this was a listener with a question, but it's somebody else, and I apologize for that. Sorry, Gregory. Just to go back to what I was saying, Gregory. You know, so Jesus is giving us the signs, Gregory, about what to expect at the end times. And there will be many false prophets, he's saying, and there will be, you could say, a lot of disasters or catastrophes to happen. And many false prophets, as I already said. So, Gregory, how, if that is what is predicted to happen, and we see many sort of similar events happening in the world in recent times now, and maybe even not so long ago as well, with the World War, which we had, 2 world wars that we've had. So I'm just wondering, Gregory, in each of these, let's say, disasters, when they come, there is an end to them, and there's sort of a new time starts, or let's say peace comes again. So you start to wonder, is that the event that Jesus is referring to about the end times, or is there something to come later on in the future? And there, out there in the world, there are many, you could say, prophets preaching and bringing new things. How can one know which of these signs is a genuine one of the end times, or if it's not?
Well, thanks for that particular. First, each personality must strive to understand the language that Christ spoke. In his speeches, he selected his expressions very carefully. Christ's mission on earth was purely spiritual. Therefore, the language which he spoke must be understood spiritually. The tool for understanding spiritual language is one's intuitive perception. Therefore, if many wish to use their intellect to dissect the speeches of Christ, they will not get very far. As long as the speeches are not reflected on very deeply to touch on one's intuition, then what one has is a bundle of confusion. So if one now understands that to grasp the world's right of Christ, one needs to use one's intuition, then it becomes quite simple and straightforward. For whenever he spoke, he gave pictures, which pictures should readily have an impact on one's intuition. Because that has not been the case, many have seen many disasters which are reflected, which are called wars, many famine, many things which are not complementary. These things, many then rush to say these are the end times. Of course, there have been wars in the past, before the so-called world wars. Of course, there have been famines in the past, before the so-called famines which we have right now. One thing stands out. What was the initial population of the earth? Say about 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago? It can easily be seen that the population of the earth, that means the human personality who now inhabits the earth with their physical body, is much, much greater than it was in the past. That itself is a fact. Secondly, it should be noted that the frequency of occurrences of these so-called disasters, the frequency is much higher than they had had in the past. Therefore, one can intuitively sense that whenever we have an abundance of events within a short period of time, say within a period of a century, in which we have so much calamitous events, then that should strike us in our intuition to ask, why is this happening? In the first case, these sort of events basically has been precipitated by man and man alone. It was not that the vegetation was fighting against itself. It wasn't that the animals were fighting against themselves. The fact remains it was man who was striving to destroy another man. Therefore, the simple conclusion is that there seemed to be misunderstanding within the psyche of man, of wanting to destroy another who, like himself, has come here in order to experience. For in all simplicity, whenever two people set out from the same town or the same quarter or the same village or the same hut, were they to go far away from home, if they meet themselves far, far away from home, their first response in their discussions is to gel together because they have memories of their homes. Even if they were not fully grown up, they still have those memories of their home. Those memories will set up some longing of their home. The human personalities, the human spirits set out from their home in the paradise of man as unconscious spirit gems. One would have thought, having set out from home and now found themselves here on earth, that longing should be there. That longing is there only for those who open or who use their intuition to sense where they themselves have come from. That they haven't done so only means this has arisen out of indolence or out of considering only the things of the earth to be of importance. And therefore, there is a need to fight over it. It must be made very clear that whenever that expression is used, be on your guard, or your time has come. That is referring only to the human personality who has come here to experience and to mature. And whenever you find that the times have become so rough, then one must ask the question, how come things are so bad? Things are always so bad when the human personality, through their activities, have sown that which is bad. They themselves have put it into nature, they have put it into creation through their thoughts, through their deeds, for some, through their intuitive perceptions. And it's only fair that at the time when the duration granted for the maturity of the human personality, when that time is drawing to a close, because here on earth, in the world of matter, there is the need for that which has been constituted, formed into the earth. There is the need for that to fall back, as you have at the initial stage in everyday experiences or in the experiences of the human body, in which you have birth and then a period of growth. And after that period, there is the gradual decline of disintegration, in which, towards the end of it, the human personality, making use of the physical body, leaves. And at that point, the physical body falls back and disintegrates to its primeval substances. At that particular point, when an end is approached, you will find experiences being pushed towards the end of a cycle. And it's the accumulation, the preponderance of experiences which occur within a very short time that gives the impression of a turning point. This time, a cosmic turning point, as seen from a spiritual standpoint of view, which Christ had given.
Thank you for this explanation, Gregory. There's quite a lot to go through there. So, but before I continue, I want to tell the listeners You're listening to Blessed Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrusheen. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we are discussing tonight is Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. I'll just repeat that. Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, it is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we're broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. Again, Bless Radio 1, the number 1, and then space live stream. That's Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of the show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space Grail Message, space then the topic of the show, which tonight is Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. And of course you can listen to our previous shows as well. Gregory, you know, you can say life is a journey, and we know there's a beginning and then there's an end. We know from on the earth, the beginning and the end is the birth and the death on the earth. And then we know, or not, let's say we are told, maybe not know, about life after death, and which is not on the earth, but in the, you could say in the beyond, even in, let's say, heaven. But tonight, when we say we're talking about end times and being our time has come, I'm wondering, in connection with the, events happening in Glasgow with this climate conference events. I know that is about saving the, well, not, they call it saving the earth, but it's really saving humanity on the earth. That's the future of the humanity on the earth. But in our discussion, we're talking about the spirit of man. And I'm just trying to work out if there's any connection there about, because at the end of the day, the earth, even if man wipes himself off the earth for whatever reason, through nuclear bomb or whatever disaster takes place and we are wiped out, the earth will continue to exist. But obviously that's not how we human beings want it to be. We want to continue. So my question, Gregory, is this salvation that man is seeking, the earthly one, let's just a little bit focus on that for a moment. Is there a relationship there with our spiritual salvation there as well? Or they're totally separate things?
There is only one salvation, and that salvation is that of the Spirit. All else is only a consequence of spiritual salvation. For it is the spirit itself that lives. The physical body, the earthly body, is only cooperates. It's only a tool that cooperates for a short while. And but one thing must be made very clear, that before the human personality or the human spirit germ incarnated on earth, the earth had been in existence. And the earth will continue to be in existence after it has left the earthly sphere. The problem has always been that the human personality, in its arrogance, considers itself to be the center of all happenings. It has not realized that the earth, which is in the world of matter, was only prepared and lent to him for his spiritual maturity, and that the physical body, which has arisen out of the earth, of the compositions of the earth, is only a tool which is granted through a limited period in order to be able to experience physically here on earth. The challenge has always been for many worrying about what happens after that time here on earth in which the physical body has been dropped. A worry which is completely unnecessary. Unnecessary because had the human spirit paid attention to the events within himself and without of himself, he should have realized that whilst here on earth, it was born on earth, that no one is able to experience using the physical body that has not been born here on earth. And in accordance with the laws of creation, whoever had been born here on earth that requires the physical body to experience as a tool will, in due course, have to relinquish the use of this temporary tool, which is referred to as the physical body, and therefore proceed on his journey. Like you rightly said, it is a journey. And very clearly, it came here to the earth based on the weavings of the past. It is the weavings it has that has formed the path, which many refer to as destiny of faith. And that is what made it possible to be granted an opportunity to incarnate. Therefore, it should know that the physical body is only a temporary tool. And as in the past it has woven its paths to incarnate on earth, whilst on earth, it also weaves the future paths it will have to follow. And using its intuition, is able to a large extent, filled with good volition, able to make progress such that it will have acquired the necessary maturity in order to move forward. In that particular case, in the process of acquiring the necessary maturity, it itself should know that here on earth, the conditions were not were made to enable it to experience beneficially. Therefore, it, the human spirit, need to ensure that only those things that are of benefit, which will cooperate with the continued existence of the earth, should be formed, rather than those activities which will tip the balance of a harmonious experiencing here on earth. But in the past, that has not been so. Hence the worry. Hence the worry that before long, through the activities of men, they will make the earth inhabitable, albeit for creatures that have been here to experience. What is hard nowadays is that there are changes in the climate. Of course, there have always been changes in the climate. But the impact of man creates such gross imbalance that is able to upset the very delicate balance, which delicate balance has always been maintained through the laws of nature. So, the situation which we are in is only through the one-sidedness. There are debates, but those debates, where do they lead to? It's very sad to be talking about agreement among nations. There is only one earth, not two. So if it is made uninhabitable, it happens to all the constituents of the earth. What COVID has shown is that there is a connection between one part of the earth and the other part. The link is there. So it is either one for all and all for one. The same thing with the so-called climate problems. For it is the same habitation that is being talked about.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory. As you've pointed out, there is only one salvation. The other one is a manifestation of our spiritual activities. You know, the earthly activities are manifestations of our spiritual activities or decisions. And what I was reflecting, Gregory, you know, let's say, you talked about laws of nature, and in the past we've mentioned, you know, there's like, for example, the law of reciprocal action or sowing and reaping. And, you know, things are happening in our own lifetime. The changes are happening quicker and quicker. So we can actually see the consequences of our actions quicker now. Now, referring back to the spiritual salvation, you did say right at the beginning, there is a time limit or time scale for our maturing. And according to the title tonight, be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. That seems to indicate that that time of maturing has arrived now. And so what I'm wondering there, Gregory, is, you know, what you sow you shall reap. That's what we have been told. So let's say we have sowed good and we have sowed evil. And obviously good will bring good and evil will bring evil. And if now is the culmination of all this sowing, will there be, let's say, like a reward on the earth for this doing good and evil, or will it be in the beyond? We know in many teachings it talks about judgment and last judgment or judgment day, or even the day of resurrection. There are so many phrases we hear, or end times as another, as I've said earlier. So I just want to understand, Gregory, what is the process for this, the sowing and reaping, sort of, you could say, the final leg of the journey, if I can put it that way. If we say, you said there's a time limit to our maturing, what is expected to happen? Let's say when the clock reaches 12, what we're saying, our time has come. It is said in some teachings that yes, that let's say when the judgment happens, some will be who are considered to have been good, they will be taken into, let's say, heaven, and others into hell who have committed evil in their according to their activities. And but the way it has been portrayed, Gregory, is that we would be dead first, we would pass on to the beyond, and then the sifting would take place there. So what I want to understand is there something happening when we say it's happening now, but we are still alive here right now? So is that happening, or is about to happen? Can you go into that process of this, you could call it, say, maturing, the end of this maturing time?
Well, thanks. There are so many questions boldened and laced into, so it's like a hydra-headed.
I'm sorry. Please just try. Yeah, go step by step and just break it down, and we can continue it into the next, a little bit after this. Just say a little bit now, you could say.
To understand or to flesh out the facts. The first fact, which is irreducible, is that motion is a law in creation. Motion, one can consider vibrational motion. One can also consider translational motion. The intuitive picture, the intuitive impression which strikes one when vibration, when motion is mentioned, is that of a reciprocal activity. That reciprocal activity now becomes the intuitive impression, which impression runs throughout all that exists within creation. In that reciprocal activity, one can already see that there is a giving out, and in that motion there are returns. So that which has been given out, or that which was given out by the individual, along the line, through motion, must return to its origin. That applies to birth, in which you have the union of many substances, and to death, in which you have the disintegration of the substances which has been forced into being. This applies to the thoughts of men. This applies to the deeds of men. And this applies to the intuition of men. This also applies to man himself. That being the case, when it is said, those things which are depending on how he or she has sown, those things which are good, these things are good only in accordance with these laws of creation, which law of sowing and reaping, this law which is also called that of reciprocal action, if its activities return to the origin and is beneficial to the individual who has put that into creation, who has put that into nature, and the returns elevates the human personality, elevates the human personality to come to final recognition, then that is of benefit to it. Then it has gained. If, however, the returns that he himself has precipitated, has initiated into creation, if the returns bring it that which is not beneficial, in which he sinks rather than rises, then, of course, that is not progress. That is not better recognition, but a process of densification. It is these returns which are referred to as the judgment. Therefore, one should be on the alert that whatever flows from him out or from her out is such that it will be in accordance with the laws, with the direction, with the examples that have been shown, such that it will bring benefit. That which is beneficial to the spirit does not have to be pleasant physically. For many expect that immediately they set out in order to have spiritual gain, then all that is physical becomes so smooth that they themselves cannot stand, that they will have no more challenges. That has never been the case, and it will never be the case. For the human personality needs to continually strengthen itself. In order for it to do this, the virtues have been granted to the human personality to hold on to. That in making use of the virtues which has been placed in creation, they, through their activities, are able to be in touch with those who are more mature than themselves, who lie higher than themselves in creation. That provision has already been made. That provision is also made that the time for experiencing granted the human personality, starting as a spirit germ and to mature as a self-conscious human spirit, that time that duration is also known. However, whatever threats it has put in place, those threats need to return back to the human personality such that it will experience it, respond to it, mature through these threats. If, however, it has sown bitter threats, it has put into creation bitter experiences to affect all others who, like him, are striving to become self-conscious, then it needs first to experience it within itself in accordance with this reciprocal activity which was discussed at the beginning. That basically is the judgment. The number of experiences that it has put in there in creation, which are tied here to the earth, these experiences need to come back to him if it is able to withstand and gain recognition, learn from it, adjust itself, sever itself, and move higher, then it is of benefit. Then gladly it can move upwards towards the light. If, however, it's unable to do that and is unwilling to change, it is these same experiences, it is these same forms it has put in creation that will deaden it such that it's unable to perceive that which is happening intuitively. Therefore, it is man's intuition that really counts. All what one sees externally are the effects that should bring rich experiences to the human personality. Only when it's able to open itself can it then recognize the source of these experiences and then know how to respond to it. So it need not be afraid that experiences will come, but should look forward to these experiences, prepare itself, filled with good volition in accordance with the laws of creation. There are some filled with such volitions whilst here on earth, mature to such a state that subsequently their experiences will be beautiful. There are some, whilst they have left the earth, the returns meet them there, depending on how they respond. Those experiences will drag them down or elevate them. So the question is, man, how do you stand? How do you stand in response to the experiences which you yourself have placed in the past? Should the experiences be so vigorous as to return to you, and you have prepared yourself filled with good volition, then those experiences will be such that because of the good volition, the severity of the experiences is minimized as you have now, through your firm good volition, protected yourself and prepared yourself for the spiritual kingdom. Should not be the case, then you might be overwhelmed here or hereafter.
Thank you, Gregory, for this answer and the picture that you've presented. And I know I asked you a very long question about the process of, you can say, the end times, the judgment, the day of resurrection, and how it is described in many places. So thank you for giving us this deeper picture. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is be on your guard. Oh, spirit of man, be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. BlessRadio1.com. And also on YouTube, go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of the show again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, Grail Message, space, and the topic of the show, which tonight is be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. Gregory, I want to go back to the Bible and continue from where I left in Matthew chapter 24. And this is starting with verse 36. And I actually will be going, it's quite long. It goes into chapter 25 as well. But I might break it a bit shorter. So this is from Matthew chapter 24, verse 36, and is titled, The Day and Hour Unknown. The Day and Hour Unknown. No one knows about that day. This is Jesus speaking, just in case people are wondering. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding. with a hand mill. One will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know what day your Lord will come. But understand this: if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let the house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household, to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. I tell you the truth, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, "My master is staying away a long time," and then he begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. And I'm going to continue. This is continuing in Matthew chapter 25, which is the parable of the 10 virgins. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. The wise, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom, come out to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out." "No," they replied, "there may not be enough for both of us. There may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves." But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the others also came. "Sir, sir," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "I tell you the truth, I don't know you. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." Gregory, so this is a picture Jesus has given about what it will be like at the end times when the Son of Man will come, and how to prepare, you could say, or how to act in that time, and what is the consequence of if you're not ready, or if you are ready. So and Gregory, as I said, the topic tonight, we are saying, "Be on your guard, the spirit of man, for your hour has come." So we are supposed to be ready, and when this hour has come. And I'm wondering, Gregory, we can see that some people in this story, we can see that some are ready and some are not ready. So it's like, Gregory, some people are sleeping and some people are awake. And but we don't mean awake only physically. We mean awake, let's say, you could say spiritually. And is it what I want to ask here, Gregory, this oil that the brides who have carried the oil, what is this oil? What is this? That is obviously it's a figurative picture being shown into this story. So what does this oil represent, Gregory? What is it that we need to stay awake?
Well, plants produce ingredients, and rather than touching only the oil, one would sort of present a picture. Which picture is that of a watchfulness, which is basically vigilance. There is the vigilance of the physical body, which physical body is animated by the spirit. That vigilance of the physical body, in quotes, is that of the intellect. Physical vigilance. There is also the vigilance of the spirit. That means one should allow one's intuition to fly up, to be able to have strong intuitive pictures of what happens within and what happens without. Having such pictures, one is able now to make a decision, a judgment on that which is beneficial to the spirit and that which is transient, not that beneficial. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Having observed this, in that process, the human personality also comes to recognition that power is poured into creation. And there is the need to make use of this power, this energy, which it receives. This power is to be used in accordance with the laws of creation, such that they will help to elevate him, not only he himself, but also its environment. Only that, one may say, is good. When that happens, then the human personality need fear no evil, because in its continuous activities, it has prepared itself such that power streaming from on high, just like oil, which provides the substantiality for lamp, that power streaming is able to make use of it to lighten its paths so that it's able to see, or more precisely to perceive, that which is beneficial for itself and for the environment and for creation itself. In creation, in which he himself is a child, and that in pursuing this path, by starting as an unconscious spirit gem, is able to develop the talents through the power, through the decisions is able to make, and becomes a child of the Almighty. In that, it is perpetually awake, perpetually watchful, for the Spirit does not rest, sits in one place and does nothing. It's always in the process of sowing and reaping, reaping and sowing. It's always in motion. That is what creation is about. If, however, it does not develop itself to that state where it's able to bear the radiation power that streams from on high, it means it's unable to gather that power, that oil, which is necessary for it so as to make progress in creation. When Christ told these stories, it was stories, or these were childlike stories, which the human personality at its maturity was able to assimilate and ensured it was helpful to it. What has happened in the meantime is that many had been very active, had been very vigilant in the material sense, but have been asleep spiritually. For that which is of spirit is not equated to that which is temporal. That which is of spirit is more permanent than that which is temporal. For the human body in flesh and blood is temporal. And that which is of spirit, which has its own spiritual cloak, is more permanent. It endures as long as it strives after that which is light. So the stories which had been given by Christ are only meant to be absorbed spiritually, to be absorbed intuitively, such that it will strike the spirit. And in striking the spirit will be awake. To be awake to the spiritual experiences that it needs. So the key here has been what he told them at that time: to watch and to pray.
Thank you so much for that, Gregory. In the text that I was reading about the day and the hour unknown, this is talking about the end time. Jesus says about, he gave in the parable of the bridegrooms, the parable of the 10 virgins, where the brides are waiting for their bridegroom. And prior to that, what I read was that was like another example of preparing for the coming of the Son of Man. That's what he's saying, be ready for that, because it will be like what happened at the time of Noah. Most people didn't know anything that the floods were going to happen, and so they just carried on as normal. And it will be similar when the time of the Son of Man comes. And just to paraphrase, 2 women will be in the field, 1 will be taken and 1 will be left. And so my question actually here, Gregory, is what is it that we are expecting the Son of Man to do So why are we waiting for him? Basically, that's I would like to ask.
Hello? Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Now I can hear you. Yes. Yes.
Now, the question, although Christ has provided that particular answer when he gave the advice of watchfulness and prayer to ensure that in that process, the human personality is able, only through that process, to recognize who the Son of Man is and what his tasks are. Similarly, at the time of Christ, only very few were prepared to recognize him or to recognize his tasks. And what they all thought at that time was that he himself would fulfill the needs of men. Whereas he will fulfill the physical needs of men whilst they are asleep spiritually. The purpose, the task of the Son of the Almighty at that time was to provide the basis for spiritual recognition. His activities whilst here on earth were to ensure that the human spirit is jolted and therefore will be awake before the cosmic turning points. The cosmic turning points in which the human personality will have to have matured enough to start making preparations to depart the world of matter, which will soon go into a process. A particular part will soon go into the process of disintegration. That means the conditions will not be right again for it. That is what the human spirit is supposed to be preparing for, such that the gates of paradise will be opened once more and it, through its activity, able to enter. The task of the Son of Man is not different either. For it is the Son of Man who is a personification of the divine will. And all that he himself will do is to provide more clarity to what Christ himself has taught, and to make sure that those radiations which abound in creation reach the seeking human spirit who endeavors vigorously to get it. That is only possible through clarification. Therefore, we find in the words of the Grail Message, like you find, it is said at the beginning, in the light of truth. There are only two: light itself and truth. Behind it is the power. Therein you have the Trinity. Nothing else. It is the task of the Son of Man to explain in the simplest possible term what creation is, how man fits into it, and what he himself must do in order to attain to that purification so that it's able to go back home as a self-conscious human personality. The way is clarified, the way is made so simple. Only those of earnest, good volition are able to follow. Those whose volitions are not pure, are not earnest, are likely to ignore it, just like the 5 foolish virgins. In these discussions, only tokens are expressed, but those of earnest and good volitions are able to make use of these tokens for themselves, just like the 5 good, wise virgins. The tokens are granted for the human spirit so as to use these tokens as a lever to swing themselves up in good volition with the clarification of the laws of creation. The human spirit, in its intuition, is able to stir itself back to paradise, which paradise was shut initially due to its own volitions, because it did not know how to proceed. Much of the hints one has given, the clarification can be found as facts in the work, in the light of truth, the Grail Message of Agrushin. In there, all that the human spirit needs is revealed. Whether it's able to follow or not follow is now left for the human spirits. For the road to paradise is open.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory, and again presenting let's say a clear picture of what this you could say what the Son of Man has come for, and what is he coming to do, and and how you can find him. In a sense, it's it is a journey to discover that. So thank you for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to Blessed Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or would like to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And you're listening to Blessed Radio and we're broadcasting on blessedradio1.com. blessradio1 .com. Also, we are on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box blessradio1 1 space live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of the show. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box blessradio1 1 space Grail Message and space the topic of the show, which tonight is Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. And you can contact us on our UK number for any questions or comments. The number to contact us is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, just want to go a little bit more on to talk about the Son of Man. Again, in many teachings, there's because of prophecies or predictions of what is to happen in the end times. Many they call it, as I say, Judgment Day, resurrection of the dead, and apocalypse even, and which is like a revelation. So, and there are many stories or predictions, like I say, Gregory, about this. So, is this Son of Man? Is he going to unite the world, and under one, let's say, under God, with it like a teaching to unite the world, or because we have many differences in the world today. So much. Let's say science it's been there for a while, but there's so many, let's say, approaches, and we have heard earlier in the when I read again quotes from Jesus there, saying there will be many false prophets out there, and I'm wondering, and many claiming, "Oh, I'm Christ," or "I'm such something and something." Others they may not claim they're Christ, but they're showing some ways, whatever, let's say, leading to salvation, however they term it. So my question, Gregory, is when the Son of Man comes, how would he come and bring will he unite and convince all the people of the world? How will it happen?
Again, thanks for this particular question. To present a more clarified picture, the personality must understand the purpose of creation, the purpose of nature, and that there is only one way. In the first instance, the personality, or before it became a personality, is in creation, or to put it mildly, in the world of matter, is in nature. Earlier, one had mentioned that motion is a law in creation, it's a law in nature. Out of this motion came the laws of creation, the laws of nature. So, only him or her who fulfills unconditionally the laws of creation, the laws of nature, can claim continuity, can continue to exist. Else, such a creature who does not strive to fit in as a creature in creation and therefore obey its laws, before long will be crushed within the activities of these laws. Whether that personality came about the knowledge of the laws of creation through the sciences, the arts, or through religion, that is immaterial. For what one calls science are only, if one looks in very carefully, are only models which has been built up by the intellect to some extent with the advice of one's intuition. Only these models, sometimes which are called algorithms, that is what science uses. On the other hand, religion are the bits and pieces of recognition which the human personality has been able to draw, but is incomplete. And these so-called religions were given to different races in accordance with their maturity at that time. However, the laws of creation remains the laws of creation, which all that exist in creation must follow. So it is the recognition of the laws of creation and using these laws to further itself in further recognition, that is what counts. All other things are of no consequence. So, if a human personality decides to go into certain activities like boxing and is able to brutally destroy his opponent, that will not bring him a step nearer to his goal, which is to continually exist at all times in paradise. The goal is to proceed in such a way in order to come to final recognition and get back to paradise, just as others are striving for recognition. One should not go and obstruct them, because he himself did not want to be obstructed, but working hand in hand with those like him who set out from paradise, they should polish one another, support one another until they get back home. It is as simple as that. So religions coming in to make their own pronouncements, they can only speak in part, for they do not know the whole story. So also is science, which is basically earthbound. Actually, the so-called science only started a few hundred years ago. For ask yourself, what was the name of science 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago? It had different names because people were not sure. But these were based on recognitions that many had observed in nature. What is there is what they observed, and had quietly put these observations in place, studied it very carefully, to be able to make use of that which will bring it benefit. That is what science has done. It has not referred to the human spirit. Therefore, it would be wrong to call in science when that which is living in man, the human spirit, is concerned. As the case with religion, one can see that these were recognitions which were granted the human spirit over time, depending on their maturity or depending on their spiritual maturity. But then came a time when things were going so bad, in which Christ himself, out of love, came in to stop that downward decline by pointing out the way to the highest. And as many will know, when he was asked, "And who is my neighbor?" the picture he painted was a masterpiece. And that is the way that man should have followed. The Son of Man, he himself, being the personification of the divine will do similarly as Christ himself has done. For the personification of divine will is the truth.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer. Gregory, I'm thinking that, there's also this concept of redemption. Every human being has, you could say, sinned or committed evil. And, you have talked about paradise and, yes, becoming self-conscious. But what the other thing we know is that everybody has done good and evil. And we've talked about there's a time scale for our maturing and for our development. So I'm wondering, Gregory, if that deadline arrives, and are we meant to have completely purified or cleared all our evil in this time, or will the journey continue in the beyond to redeem our sins, you could say, there, on a journey into paradise, if I can say it like this. So, to become conscious, is that part of the journey to, because,
Can I come?
Yes, go on.
It's become too long, and
yes,
the first statement is not correct to say everyone has sinned. For Christ came, he wouldn't say he has sinned, but he has come to show one the way. So that statement that everyone has sinned, and is not that correct. And then secondly, when you find the process of returns, which returns help to purify the personality, if and only if in these returns the personality is able to recognize the meaning and in that recognition resolve to make a change for that which is good in accordance with these laws of creation that brought it these same returns. In that scenario, it forms a buffer depending on the strength of this buffer, the intensity of what it has built around itself, is able to rise very fast or sink, or not rise as fast. So the question which you put, or what you have posed, this is more of things in motion, motion that is alive. Whether the human personality is vigorous, is earnest enough to provide that which will strengthen it in its environment, such that it returns, is able to make use of it, depends on the personality. And that's why it is very difficult to predict who will make it and who will not make it. For never forget, the human personality has a free will to decide which way it wishes to go. Only what has been decided intuitively provides the feeder energy to elevate the human personality for the returns subsequently will be brighter. That person will be supported because he himself or herself has initiated that process which should be of benefit to him and pleasing to him, so that he will arrive at the final destination soon. For many, they are able to sever themselves before the world of matter or specific areas in the world of matter goes back into disintegration. If they are unable to sever themselves, then when the world of matter or specific parts in the world of matter goes into disintegration, they themselves will be around to experience the ups and the downs, all the experiences which is accompanied by the disintegration of that part of the world of matter, which experiences will be so painful that the human personality cannot withstand those experiences. The form that it had put in place, the human form, which we now recognize, that form will have to be disintegrated or to be torn apart, such that it will revert back to a spiritual seed, a spiritual gem, which only means all that duration granted to it to acquire the human form, which human form is able to use for joys and happiness in accordance with the laws through which it came into existence, such that it's now able to dwell in paradise. That form now disintegrates. That is the spiritual death which is talked about. That is the spiritual death which Christ referred to. That is the spiritual death which the Son of Man has explained in his work in the light of truth, such that man may not go to such an extent as not to be able to extricate itself in good volition.
Thank you so much for that explanation, Gregory. We've now come to the end of the show, listeners, and I'd like to read from the Grail Message, the foreword of the Grail Message. It's titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and star. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Apprushin. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing them a beautiful and beneficial week.
Thank you. And dear listeners, thank you for joining us tonight on the topic of Be on your guard, Spirit of Man, for your hour has come. Hope you found it enlightening, and as Gregory and I both encourage you to pick up the Grail Message and examine for yourselves so you can see the gems there. And just to remind you to, if you want to know about the Grail Message or want to pick up a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll just spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. I wish you all a great week. God bless. We'll be back again next week 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a new topic. Thank you very much. Take care.